the man in the Pratt family who did not join the church found his way to Ohio, which Ohio was actually the Connecticut Reserve. Every state had their own kind of place, like Massachusetts had Western New York, and Connecticut had its Western Reserve called Ohio. From there, Nelson went up to a place called Garden Grove, which at one point had been an encampment of the Latter-day Saints, but now abandoned. What happened was the Saints moved along those temporary encampments until they reached the Missouri River out to a place called Council Bluffs. And one by one, those encampments began to be abandoned. Obviously, the first abandoned encampment would be Sugar Creek, then closest to Nauvoo. And then one after another, they began to fold up. And the Saints then moved along the Missouri River and actually formed as many as 90 communities on both sides of the river. And then as Brigham Young left to go out west into the Rockies, when he found that we were settling then by this Great Salt Lake and that there was not food enough for the thousands of saints ready to migrate, he actually told them to stay behind in Iowa. And so the Latter-day Saints were in Iowa from literally 1846 to 1853, but they had abandoned those little communities, those temporary settlements along Highway 2, and instead were living in such settlements as Council Bluffs, Canesville, Stringtown, Crescent, Locust City, these 90 little settlements waiting for their opportunity when they knew it's time, this group can now move forward. And in such places as Garden Grove, they abandoned their buildings. Their buildings were literally no floor. So they were like wood structures put up, made out of logs, no floor, many of them no doors. Windows sometimes were cut out, but they were temporary. The Saints never anticipated that Garden Grove would be a permanent settlement. But obviously they had put seeds in the ground, they had crops, and you'd say perhaps there was some kind of residue. But we have no records that they planted orchards or anything that would take longer than a season to grow. So the chances are when Nelson got there, there would be remains of some of the buildings. But as far as crops, not too many.